Daly in the front row, and Bob Fulton is the coach. Manly players, and here's the Cronulla team. You'll notice that Watson comes into the side at the expense of Greg Davies. He broke down at training on Thursday night, which means that McGaw comes from the wing back to the centres, where he'll partner Andrew Ettinghausen, and in the forwards, the same forward pack that's carried all before it in recent weeks. Hatch, Wilson and Miller the back rowers, Sorensen, Porter and Diamond in the front row. Coach Alan Fitzgibbon. It should be a really great game of rugby league, this. So there's the kick-off with Manly defending the southern end of the ground. And immediately the big crusher takes it up and he's met by a wall of Sharks. Gee, they really came at him that time, but a good start as they take it back to the quarter line, the Sea Eagles. They haven't lost to Cronulla Sutherland here in the last 3 years. But speaking with Des Hasler before the match, he said it's a match where so many players ad-lib. It's the sort of game where breaks can be made and tries scored from anywhere on the football field. And there's Hasler. He gets away from Porter. Deceptively strong, Des Hasler. So Connor gets his first touch of the afternoon.
You notice the unpredictability of Cliff Lyons there as well. He was about to kick and then suddenly lets the pass go at the last moment. Never know what he's going to do, and that's the individual talent of the Manly team.
There's Dwyer's kick down to that quarter line. Jonathan Docking. In fact, Coleman grabs it. Of course, Docking, no doubt, will be the New South Wales State of Origin fullback for the first match on Tuesday week with the suspension of Gary Jack. The earlier matches here this afternoon, all Manly. The under-21's a very attractive game of football. Manly defeating Cronulla 24-10, and reserve grade also going Manly's way 30-18. The first half for Manly dominated by their new import Joe Rapati. The second half, though, it was little Paul Shaw who cut Cronulla to ribbons and set up that win.
Ineffective kick across field there on the last tackle, only gained 10 metres, and it's always dangerous kicking to the open side when you don't have plenty of chases. It was Speechley who was looking to get a lot more ground than he did. It virtually went right across field. And you could see there, if that had been scooped up by Greg Austin, he had plenty of room to move, and he can fly. The son of Reg Austin, the famous professional sprinter.
Manly's ball. Lions. Good defence from Speechley. Docking there in as well. Fortin. Manly have got it. 9 metres inside Cronulla's territory. Again, Cleal out amongst the centres, trying to make some ground on the fringe of that ruck. Lyons. Good run from Lyons. In fact, he must have knocked that on just as he went to the ground. And Cliff looks up and says, well,
I didn't knock it on.
I think he realised the mistake had been made.
I was talking to Penrith coach Ron Willey just before the game. He's having another look at Cronulla, who last week belted Penrith by a good 20 points. 2 weeks ago, Penrith belted Manly by 20 points. So if form means anything, you could say the Cronulla are a 40-point better side than Manly, but I doubt very much that'll be what happens out here, and I don't think Ron Willey does either.
And there's Hatch taking the ball up, and look at that, nothing much between these two sides as far as attacks scored this year, but Cronulla in the last 4 games have scored 23 tries. And that really is playing some good football, almost 6 tries a match. You can't beat a side who's attacking that well. Here's Miller taking it back to the halfway line.
In fact, both these sides have got very similar for and against, so both attack and defence, they're similar styles when it comes to points on the board.
Russell's kick, Dwyer getting underneath it. Dwyer, who hasn't had the greatest of good fortune since he's made the trek from Brisbane down to Sydney. When he was in Brisbane, that's an overhead pass that Burke's taken pretty well, but hasn't stayed in the field of play. Good tackling from Coleman.
Well, Burke realised he was in danger. He was getting close to that sideline, and he suddenly started to try and bulldog his way back into the field, but Coleman had him by the neck and pulled him over the line.
Pressure now back on Manly. That ball was kicked in and out of that scrum. They finally got it anyway. Here's McGaw. Obviously, they're getting up with a defensive pattern to stop that ball getting wide, Manly. Did you see that? Lyons, Horton and Burt were all up there, trying to nullify the speed and effectiveness of this man, Andrew Ettinghausen. Speechley. Hatchet dummy half, blind side, Russell. Down on the quarter line, Wilson finds Porter. Last tackle against the Sharks. There's the kick from Wilson. That'll just about bring rain. It's gone very high. And who's got it? It's gone loose. Stacks on the mill. Referee says play on, and then it's picked up by Burke, who's got it for Manly. Coleman wraps him up. Well, that could have gone and finished up anywhere as Tysers makes the burst from dummy half.
The kick was so high, everyone had plenty of time to get underneath it, and Dwyer went up, but he was foiled there by Mark McGaw, who was underneath it, and there wasn't a knock on there. The ball was play on.
Well, now Manly have dropped the ball and Cronulla have come up in possession. Porter's lost his headgear. And fairly heavy work going in there from Gately over the top, and Vaughton underneath. Speechley. There's Diamond. Tackled there by Charlie Haggett and Owen Cunningham. 11 metres out from that Manly line. Blindside, Wilson away to Miller. Miller the dummy. Away it goes to McGaw. Beautiful tackle though from Vaughton. Classical lock forwards tackle. Miller, the long ball, was plucked out of the air in the end by Porter. He's had in turn had it plucked out of his arms. And Manly have come up with a good thinking that from Clell.
Well, the ball must have come out just before the referee called held, because the tackled player had been held for some time.
Well, it was probably in a dangerous situation on the field to attempt something like that, because that ball could well have gone anywhere. Here it is again. You'll notice that Clell reefs the ball free out of Michael Porter's arms.
That was a let-off for Manly because they're soaking up some pressure there. Cronulla have had a couple of repeated sets of tackles at them in their quarter.
Manly down on their own quarter line. That's Vaughton. Good run from Paul Vaughton. Inspired play from the skipper. Lyons, Clell, the pass comes away to Burke. Burke, he's got a lot of speed, he's over the halfway. He's got Lyons and Tysers with him. Lyons back it goes to now O'Connor, the ball's gone loose. The referee says play on. O'Connor's got it. O'Connor's in. O'Connor's scored.
Plenty of determination from Michael O'Connor to carry a player over the line to get that ball down for the try after it was 6 more tackles when Russell knocked it down. Now notice Clell standing out here in the back to create the extra man. He puts Burke into the gap, and Burke beats the tackle there and then looks inside, took his time to size up the situation, finds Lyons and plenty of support there with O'Connor. Now the ball was knocked down by Russell's hand there. It went forward. O'Connor gathers it in, great reflexes that he has, and carries them over the line to get the ball down. Great work by the Manly backs. But again, it was Clell who's been drifting wide right throughout the game today. He created the extra man. He didn't actually make the bust, but look at the pace of Burke, the push off to get away, left one in his wake, and inside, plenty of support. There was another man inside O'Connor as well, and Russell comes across. He didn't know where the ball had gone, and look at O'Connor pull it in, and did he get the ball down? Yes.
Michael O'Connor this year, 6 tries, 70 points. In the City Place of Origin side on Wednesday night against Country. The chance to convert his own try. And it's there. And so after 8 minutes of play in this match at Brookvale Oval, the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles are leading by 6 points to 0. A converted try to Michael O'Connor.
And Matthew Burke, midweek, David, was saying that he was still learning the game, and you can just see him growing in confidence every time he steps on the field. That was a class bit of work, scything through the Cronulla defence there.
There's Matt Burke, and he's been playing very well. Not many problems adapting to rugby league from rugby union.
There's the restart again by Wilson. And Manly running it back towards the quarter line.
Once again, it's one thing to make the break, but the backing up always has to be there to complete a break, particularly from your own side of halfway, and Manly had plenty of fellas inside.
Daly takes it ahead. Hasn't been much said about Phil Daly as far as the rep sides are concerned this year, but he's one of these fellows that keeps on showing his wares week in, week out. He's in the City First side, and when you read about all the props that were playing well this year, he was a man that hadn't been mentioned much. Selectors don't forget how well he's been playing that.
This is the sort of opportunity for him to get back in the headlines, have a big one against Cronulla, who have been performing pretty well in the forwards.
And there he is, affecting that tackle on Dane Sorensen. Cronulla 11 metres out. Wilson finds the runner in Miller. Miller taken by Cunningham. Only 13 metres out though from that Manly line. Wilson Away it comes. Barry Russell, the kick. It's come off a Manly player, then in turn off a Cronulla player. Lyons dived on it. The referee wants to put the scrum down.
It's no surprise to see Cronulla using the kick along the ground. Russell trying to put it in behind the backs, because Cronulla have had plenty of success with kicks in the opposition quarter in the last couple of weeks.
Knock on both ways that time, but it was Cronulla who had the feed into the scrum, and Docking has it. On the run round, that's Speechley with it. Speechley in some open space, but there's nobody on the inside. Russell, blind side, Porter's almost there. Good strong run from the young hooker. Only a couple of metres out. Cronulla, can they hit back immediately? Russell trying to duck in behind the defence. Speechley a dummy half. Open side it comes. Eddinghausen quickly, it goes to Wilson. The passes come out towards Coleman, and Coleman's gone without it. Wilson's got it back. The referee's going to put the scrum down for the knock-on.
Near thing for the Sea Eagles. Cronulla moving the ball wide. McGaw chiming in beautifully. Here it comes out from Wilson. And there's McGaw. He tries to slip the pass away as his legs are cut out. And Coleman went behind him. He couldn't quite hang on to it. Plenty of cover coming across for Manly. Manly are getting themselves into trouble. They've lost the ball a couple of times early in the tackle count, and that's why they're camped in their own quarter.
Dropped the ball 3 times so far in the match.
It's been early in the tackle count.
And that's, of course, in only 10 minutes, so that's a very high drop ball rate. The Manly have got it at the moment. Running it out from their own line. That's Ticehurst. He's got a lot of speed, Jeremy Ticehurst. Penalty. First penalty of the afternoon. Cronulla up inside the 5. Greg McCallum, the referee during the week, has also announced that he'd be refereeing the test match between Papua New Guinea and New Zealand. His first test match, so congratulations to him. It's a great achievement.
I had a quick word with Greg before the game, and he was saying that for years he used to sit on the hill on the far side of the ground and watch Manly go around.
As Daly, good strong run, gets it inside Cronulla's territory. There's Cunningham, former Australian schoolboy. Vaughton. We've hit it up 3 times through the forwards here, Manly. 35 metres out. Now the backs are given it. Lyons running across field. There's O'Connor. O'Connor, he's found someone in support. Gately. Gately slips it back. O'Connor with it. Away to Lyons. Lyons has got support. Lyons goes straight through. Burke on the inside. Burke, can he get away? He's got his pass away though. Racing for the line is Tim Dwyer. Away it goes to Hasler, and Hasler will score a super try. Oh, they're back on the road again, are they? What? That was scintillating football from the Sea Eagles, and they lead 10-0.
Well, how could the Cronulla defence know where the ball was going, because they changed the angle half a dozen times. Going one way, suddenly spinning around the other, always knowing there was someone coming. The play coming from the far side of the field took a while before we got to where the action really happened.
Well, this is where they had the 3 settlers, remember? 3 in a row, and then the backs were given it.
But then once they want to get the ball out wide, they do it so crisply. Look at these passes, beautiful passes. Inside, first of all, O'Connor goes back towards the middle. Then it was Gately, turns direction, comes back towards the middle again, slips a beautiful pass there. O'Connor turns to the lines. He shows it on the outside here, double dummy on the outside, back inside. There goes Burke, he finds a runner, and as Dwyer, he heads towards the post. Back comes Hasler on the step and beating the cover at every turn. Great football.
You don't see many better tries than that, and Michael O'Connor very heavily involved in that try after scoring the first one himself, a chance to make it 2 out of 2. And there's the kick from O'Connor, and so after 14 minutes, it's all Manly. They lead by 12 points to 0.
Dummy from line to get through the hole and immediately spins inside because he knew he was going to be tackled. Burke uses that fend to push away from Docking long enough to get the pass back inside. Dwyer evades the referee as well as the cover, the big step across field, and Hasler catches them all on the wrong foot. Tremendous backing up by the Manly backs.
And there's the restart. Well, last week we were talking about, and the week before, about Cronulla with their great starts against Penrith, and then the week before when they scored 20 points in as many minutes against Brisbane. And now the boot's on the other foot. What can Cronulla do to get back into this game? They really need a converted try just to get some confidence.
Well, the problem for them is that they've virtually been in Manly territory throughout the game today, yet Manly scored the 2 tries. They suddenly break loose and they capitalise.
Lyons, Vaughton. Good first up hit then from Porter.
In fact, Cronulla haven't done all that much wrong so far. What they haven't done in the 2 tries is put the man on the ground. They've got to finish off their tackles. They can't let them stand.
Well, the Manly people are happy, and why shouldn't they be? They haven't had the best of the last five weeks. But they came back to form with a great win over Canterbury last week. They wouldn't be too happy with Tim Dwyer's kick there, putting pressure back on them just outside the quarter line where the scrum will go down.
Here's a good chance for Cronulla. They'll have the feed to the scrum. It's on the 22. 6 tackles should come from this scrum with a chance to attack. But it doesn't. Scrum against the feed due to the weight of the Manly back row pushing over the top of the ball. Great work by Cleal, Gordon and Cunningham at the back.
Well, as I said in the beginning of the game, I don't think there's many, if there are better back row combinations in the competition. Pretty formidable. 2 great defenders, 2 great attacking players, and Vaughton, of course, the complete player. And here they go on the march again. And look at this, up over the halfway line. O'Connor, the pass comes off a Cronulla player. It'll be 6 to go and the referee agrees. Just inside the touchline, Gately plays it. O'Connor, Lions, they're spread right across the park here again, Manly, as it comes away now from Cunningham to Hasler. Quick hands, away it goes. Up to Dwyer. Dwyer slips it to Burke. He's got support in Austin. Austin for the line. Austin comes around and Manly are in again. Oh, they're playing premiership winning form at the moment. Magnificent stuff. 16-0.
Well, just sit back and watch magnificent football from the Manly backs. It's all the Manly backs here at the moment. And it's coming from Cliff Lyons, getting the ball wide when the opportunity's there. Manly were at 6s and 7s after the break. Now look at the long pass to get the ball out wide, and then they just carry it on. And Dwyer is making no mistakes from fullback in there for Shearer. Burke, the perfectly timed pass after drawing the man. And there was no doubt the try was going to be scored. Austin all the way. And look at the smile on his face, he's enjoying himself. But look at Cliff Lyons here. He didn't have the length as he threw from the left side, so he switches direction to get the long pass out wide. Plenty of fellas knew exactly where it needed to come. They were all out there because Cronulla had no one in position. They were rattled, and the beautiful handling, getting the ball out with just magnificent crisp passing.
Austin 3 tries this year. Had a couple of seasons in the UK. And there's the kick from O'Connor, 3 out of 3. And so we haven't even had 20 minutes play yet. In fact, we've had about... There's only 1 or 2 footballers in the game that could have scored this. One's O'Connor and one is this man.
Well, you're throwing out the superlatives, but they're well deserved. And look at the little kick and the pace from Eddinghausen. Great thinking as much as pace. The thinking to see there was no one home in the in-goal area. He just has a little peek, sees the hole, slips through it. No one in front of him and no one at home. And good work by Cleal to almost get there, but Eddinghausen just too good. And what a vital try this is for Cronulla. They just had to score here to get back into this match. They were keeping the ball alive. They'd applied a bit of pressure through Miller and his runners, but then the individual talent there of Eddinghausen splitting through to get his hand on the ball.
His 9th try of the year, and Alan Wilson lining up for the kick at goal. E.T. really, I might have been throwing out the superlatives, but there's hardly any players that would ever think...
Oh, they're well deserved.
In effect, a try like that. He's one. I said O'Connor, perhaps Shearer, who's not on the field at the moment. There's not many around. Blake, of course. But Wilson, a chance to narrow that margin to just 12 points with 11 minutes remaining in the first half. There's the kick. It's successful. And so, 29 minutes gone. Manly lead Cronulla by 18.
Who's come back in this last 10 minutes, not Cronulla. And again, it's Cliff Lyons getting the ball wide with a beautiful long pass, and they just keep it going. And Cleal hanging around out in those centres, breaks the tackle, slips the pass away, it goes, and beautifully pulled in there by Burke from behind his back. It was well behind him, and he pulled it in, and Lyons backing up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men alongside him. Hasler directing him round behind the post. So how can you go up against 5 men backing up? And at that point, there was no defence there at all. But look at these hands, beautiful. Cleal standing wide, and a little step, just a hold, pull in the defender there to give Burke a free run down the sideline, back inside. Look at the backup. It's just a brilliant team, this Manly side, when they're firing.
And there's the kick from O'Connor. He's got 4 from 4, and so it's 24 points to 6, and O'Connor's now scored 12 points this afternoon. And it was Austin who brought that ball in. Cleal gave the ball to Austin. It was that little jink half inside to give Burke the room to move down the wing. And look at the Manly supporters.
Well, Manly have explored every centimetre of this Brookvale Oval so far in scoring their tries, and Cronulla really just haven't got the numbers out wide when they do it. Something's got to be done there, or it's going to be a cakewalk and more Manly tries on the way, I suggest.
So Wilson again kicking off, and Cliff Lyons, he's been in every try too this afternoon, and two of those tries, of course, when players been pulled to one side of the field and he's got up and quickly moved at the other side with a long pass, but he's made a blue there. He dropped that ball. He didn't play the ball correctly at all. Here he is. He gets up and played it in the end with his hand. That's what the referee pinged him for.
You've got to get to your feet and then play the ball, which is what Lyons didn't do. Trying to get on with the play quickly, but he rushed it. But as you say, David, Manly are moving the ball wide quickly. It's going from one side of the field to the other, and the Cronulla defence simply isn't recovering. There are gaping holes out wide.
Miller. That's a good tackle by Vaughton on Alan Wilson. 11 metres out. Can Cronulla hit back? Often in these humid, wet, hot conditions, a lot of tries are scored because the players start to fall off tackles as they get tired. Russell to Speechley, but that was a forward pass.
Well, the crowd were calling for a forward pass on the very first move of that set of tackles. Certainly appealing to the referee for one, and he got it a little bit later.
And as you can see, just in front of him. But how often that happens too, Warren? These are the conditions that are almost made for try scoring, because often the last 10 minutes, quarter of an hour of each half, players do get very hot and the defence becomes a bit ragged.
Well, forward pass is always on in that position. When you're close to the line, you obviously try and hit the player on the burst very flat, because the defence hasn't got time to size him up. But Russell just held it up a little too long.
Good run here from Dwyer, and he's got Lyons in support. Crowd gives him an appreciative round of applause. It comes to Vaughton. He got clear, but he decides to go the other way. Look at the skills from O'Connor. Vaughton, that's Hasler. Quickly, Lyons has got it. And they've got a chance again if they can throw it quickly. Gately, though. Gately decides to go down the centre. Gately, the one-handed pass. Quickly, it's come back on the inside again, though. Haggart gets up and plays it. Cleal goes from dummy half. Here goes the big fella. Away it comes. Hasler. Quickly. Vaughton back on the inside. He's found Gately. Gately, another good one-handed pass. O'Connor. O'Connor's arms are free, but he can't get the pass away. They're almost toying with the opposition at the moment, Manly. They really are playing like the 1987 Premiers. Now Lyons quick hands. Away it goes. Burke. And that's going to be a handover.
Just as well Ettinghausen made that
first
tackle.
Handover of the match. Well, they had room out there again, didn't they? Or players with room to move.
He had a man either side, and Burke probably just went a little bit too far.
And we're seeing some skills from them.
Well, an interesting statistic, which we don't have, would be the number of passes Manly have given, because every time they play the ball, there's about 6 sets of hands in it.
Well, let's have a look at this again. The referee's is penalised Phil Daly here. Is it always a target?
Well, it is. In fact, opposition players do seem to always want to rip it off, but I can't see any reason for it, because it's quite a reasonable thing to do. If you're subject to concussion or head knocks, why not wear it to try and protect yourself?
Yeah, well, it explains a lot of things anyway. Here comes out wide McGaw. McGaw slips that away. Speechley, he's got Russell in support. Russell for the line. Oh, desperate defence has dragged him out. Only a couple of metres out, he was home and hosed. That was Hasler who effected the tackle. Ettinghausen's only half a metre out. They're going from dummy half. Wilson's there. The referee says yes. Try to Cronulla. Alan Wilson scores the try, and it's 24 points to 10.
Well, it might not be as fancy as Manly, but it's worth 4 points. And it was all started by Barry Russell making the dart to crack the defence. He made quite a few. And then they had a couple of dives. First of all, Ettinghausen goes from dummy half. He couldn't quite get through. And then Wilson goes into dummy half. Let's watch the defences, see if they cover it up. Oh, they're all falling over one another. And then in there is Haggart to try and make the tackle with Burke, but Wilson fooled them all.
And he's done it. And so with about 50-odd seconds remaining in the first half, that margin reduced to 12.
Looking for a good line about a rugby league player? Go no further than Andrew Ettinghausen. reeling and a-rocking the day before the big game.
Well, you got plenty of time to think while you're fishing, which is, you know, one of the good things. It's nice and peaceful. And, well, I'm probably thinking a lot more about tomorrow's game than any representative things at the moment, but, you know, hopefully I can continue playing OK footy.
In the big wet, though, E.T. had to wait until Sunday to hook something to chew on.
Right to Reddinghausen, cut the gate. He's in. Andrew Reddinghausen's in, and Cronulla lead 4-0.
The Sharks added points at regular intervals to account for high-flying Penrith, who watched this pass after half-time go astray when it needed to land. And Mark Magor, in his return to first grade, showed Maradona-type skills.
Towed through, and here's a chance for Cronulla. Going through quickly, Magor will score, yes, try!
Meanwhile, over at the stadium, a lively afternoon also, with a regular Rabbitoh Tiger how do you do. Main introductions in the early stages were between Les Davidson and Steve Roach. Now, who was having the most fun? In between, some fast open football. Balmain plotted a course for the first try.
Conlon down to the 22. Conlon looks inside. It's Robinson. Robinson's in. Great Balmain try.
But this effort from Phil Blake in the second half, taking the Rabbitohs to the lead, might have given City selectors no doubt Blake was the man for the top representative job, though selected out of position on the wing.
That brings the house down. What a try.
You know, I think I've got to go out with the attitude where I've got to go out and roam. I think if I stay out in the wing and on the sideline most of the night, I don't think I'll see much of it. So I'd say the coach.
The Broncos got away to another slow start against East on Sunday. Starts that have cost them premiership points in their last two outings against Balmain and Cronulla. East were running hot, scoring 3 tries in the first half to have the Broncos in that all-too-familiar position of 14 points down at half-time.
They've got plenty of men out there if they keep it rolling. Paul getting his pass on the challenge. Going for the corners in the try.
Whatever Wayne Bennett said at the break, it worked. Brisbane were a different side in the second session. Kilroy crossed, much to the delight of his personal fan club.
And why wouldn't they be happy? There's his cheer squad now going into action. Let's hope we see it a few more times this afternoon.
Madison closed the gap, 14-12.
Note coming up the centre. Still going is Billy Note. Madison in front. Madison in front. Lewis. Now he goes himself.
And then Lewis put them in front for the first time in the match. And it was Lewis who then sank the final nail for the Broncos to do a Houdini act, escaping 24-20.
Back to Sydney Monday at the Reps weigh-in. Some had their first look at the Sydney Football Stadium, a point of interest also for the New South Wales Rugby League after the Premier's for sale sign. Thursday, a 10-week suspension for St George youngster Jason Hoogerwerf following this incident from the Sunday match. Balmain, fired up for a reversal of the weekend result, were never in trouble against South Sydney.
Some numbers here. Gary Jack, can he get it away? Yes, he does.
But one of their own definitely was in the soup after this incident in the third quarter.
Really well, he copped a serve.
Gary Jack summoned by the league following an official complaint from the Souths camp.
I don't think it was a spiteful game totally, but certainly that incident, wasn't, I don't believe, in the best interest of the game.
If the referee had acted then, would that have been the end of it?
No, I don't think it would have been. No, I believe that, there was a strong enough incident for me to take the action that I've taken.
The verdict for the Australian fullback? 2 weeks or 3 matches, including the first State of Origin clash.
And so the competition ladder before today's game sees Canberra, Brisbane and Canterbury on top, and then in equal 4th position Penrith and South, who of course lost those 2 points when they played the unregistered or played the unqualified player, really, Scott Wilson, up here on Anzac Day. Cronulla in 6th position, equal 7th Manly and Balmain. And then behind those, Norths and Illawarra on 9, Parramatta 8, St George on 6. Big game at Parramatta Stadium tomorrow between the Eels and the Saints. East, West and Newcastle on 4, and the Gold Coast on 1. And what a game that should be tomorrow too at the Gold Coast.
He is the chairman of the New South Wales and Australian Rugby Leagues, Ken Arthurson, on what's been a real busy week. Ken, first of all, the football stadium, you're still actively pursuing that?
Well, we are.
Connor restarts play, the kick-off for the second half. And now it's, as always, Craig Diamond who brings it up after the kick-off had been taken by Jonathan Docking.
Cronulla have got a lot of work to do. I'm sure Alan Fitzgibbon had some very stern words to them. Interesting to see if Peter Wilkins can find out a little bit about what happened in the dressing room as well. I know he was tied up with Ken Arthurson. There's the tackle count, and look at the front row of Cronulla. It's doing all the work. Sorensen, Diamond and Porter, the top tacklers. Likewise, Gately leading the way for Manly in the forwards with Vaughton and Haggett. So all the forwards are making the tackles, though it's out in the backs where the tries are being scored.
Wilson's kick up over the halfway. Dwyer right underneath it, takes it superbly. Russell's there, so is Magor. But Russell it is who's left to try and affect the tackle over the top was Hatch. But again, he's brought that ball back well, Tim Dwyer. And then a rare mistake from Manly this afternoon, and Greg Austin it is who's knocked the ball on, the scrum to go down inside Manly's territory. I think Dale Shearer could have done much more than what Tim Dwyer's done today. I think that Bob Fulton will be pretty happy with what Tim's done so far.
Dwyer after coming down, he goes Russell from the scrum base, and it's Dwyer who makes the tackle, a good tackle too. But Dwyer came down from Brisbane a couple of seasons ago where he had played with the Brisbane Brothers team and was very impressive in Brisbane football.
Here goes Docking. Docking's over the quarter line. Docking's got support and he's dragged down only a couple of metres out. The touch judge has said he's gone into touch. It took the referee a time to blow his whistle. But that was a super tackle. He was home and hosed, I thought, Docking, and Cunningham from nowhere drags him down. Jeremy Ticehurst in the end, and then the second tackle seems to have put him across the touchline. But he did have some support that time, Docking. Coleman and Magor were both with him.
It must have been Docking's boot just touching the line as it kicked away.
It took the referee some time to notice the touch judge had put his flag up, so it might have even been delayed. Lovely ball from Lyons to Burke. Good tackle from Speechley. Lyons a dummy half. Here's O'Connor. Gately.
Yeah, we're ready.
O'Connor. Lyons. Lyons who's had a huge game so far, and look at this, being allowed to run freely again. He's got that pass away. Peter Wilkins down on the sideline. What happened during the half-time interval?
Well, yes, we are ready, David, but Bob Fulton was pretty ready also when he went into the dressing room. Absolutely breathing fire there over that last try as we see this break, and Burke sends the ball away.
It's Ticehurst. Back it goes to Burke, and Burke's tackle. Last line of defence down there was Docking. Only about 20 metres out. Quickly it comes to Cleal. Last tackle against the Sea Eagles. Away it comes O'Connor. Away to now, it went from Hasler away to Lyons, who was down on the ground originally when that move started. And the ball's gone loose and Magor's fallen on it.
And that was one of Bob Fulton's words to the team, that they did want to score first after half-time, but just reiterating he was very angry over that last penalty. The ripped headgear as we see little Barry Russell scooting away again.
And Russell with no support, but he's managed to evade all the defenders so far. I think he slipped over in the end before Vaughton got to him, but there was no one in support with him. No one anywhere near him when he made that break. Quickly, Cronulla move it out through Miller. It's gone away towards Porter, and Porter's tackled. This is incredible stuff, end to end. These players will deserve more than one twoies tonight, I can tell you that, as the ball comes away again from Sorensen, and Sorensen's going to be held up about 12 metres out. Last tackle against Cronulla. This has been played at a frenetic pace. Blindside, away, Speechley, the kick into the in-goal area. It's loose, it's been knocked backwards and then fallen on. Haggett's going to play it just in the field of play. And that could have easily finished up being a Cronulla try. It was just the bounce of the ball because it almost stayed in. Have a look at this again.
Well, it didn't go into the in-goal area. It looked like it might, but it comes down just in the field of play and they all go up for it. Anything could have happened. It wasn't a bad kick at all, but Manly come up with the ball to relieve the pressure.
Well, this could be the longest half-time report in history, David, after those two bursts, and I think we've got another one coming here.
Yes, and we've got Greg Austin up over the halfway. He's away from Russell. He's got O'Connor in support. O'Connor looking for Austin on the run round. Austin's there. Here's Cleal coming steaming down the centre. Cleal's got it away to O'Connor, and O'Connor will race away and score what should be close to the try of the year. They don't come any better than that. That's super football. Started by Austin, O'Connor in it twice, Austin in it twice, and Quill from nowhere adding his assistance. 28 points to 12, and that was worth the price of admission alone.
Well, here goes O'Connor. He flips the pass away, and Austin shows this blistering pace. Got outside Watson and left him behind, and a lot of determination from Barry Russell to get to that position there in defence. Now look at O'Connor stand in the tackle. He stood waiting for Austin to get back onside. He then sees Cleal coming at the angle. He picks him up, and Cleal picks up O'Connor, and it was finally shut the gate. But what magnificent football from Manly. This is just unbelievable stuff. Here goes Austin down the touchline. Look at the determination of Barry Russell. He gave it everything he had. Austin flings it back inside. O'Connor at that point had run out of support. Austin had overrun him. There was no one else, so he had to wait for Austin to curve back around. He sees Cleal coming at the angle, which is going to catch them all going the wrong way. And finally, they ran out of tacklers for O'Connor to complete the magnificent football.
So Michael O'Connor, his second try of the afternoon. And here he is trying to make it 5 out of 5, so he's had a field day so far this afternoon. If he kicks this, it'll be 18 points so far from the match. O'Connor to make it 5 from 5, it's there. And so Manly now lead by 30 points to 12. And O'Connor's personal tally this afternoon, 2 tries and 5 goals. And the second half is only 6 minutes old. I don't think you'll see a better try than that. You might see some as good, but my word, you won't see many better.
Well, I'm sure everyone just about jumped out of their seats to stand and applaud that try, because the football really, not just in that try, right throughout the first half by Manly, has been scintillating.
Well, in essence, that was the instructions from both camps at half-time. Score the first points, and we certainly saw some efforts from both sides in that direction. Manly, though, getting away with the first points of the second half.
Peter, I'm wondering whether in future weeks you'd like me to ask the referee to just call time out while you do the half-time report.
Oh no, David, I think it promotes a bit more action that way if we keep it going like that.
I think the half-time report was out of date 5 minutes ago.
And Manly, that error. In fact, Cronulla have got a chance here because they've scooped it up quickly. Here's Speechley with it. He's only 10 metres out, but Cronulla hit back immediately. It comes away. Hatch standing there. He's got it away to Porter. Porter only 9 metres out. Cronulla through Miller. Miller's pass away to Diamond. Crowd thinking that was forward. Miller blindside again. The pass comes away to Sorensen. I'd like to see him score a try today in his 200th match for them. Hasn't he been a great player for Cronulla? Wilson, there's that grubber kick straight across the goal post, and in the end it's Austin who's got it for Manly. That can often be the danger of it. Austin looking for support as he's dragged down by Eddinghausen. He had Burke on the outside but just couldn't link up with him. Now what can Manly do here? They've still got a bit of Cronulla defence stretched on the far side as it comes to Cleal, and Cleal streaking upfield again. Sets it back on the inside to Lyons. Lyons down towards the fullback. The pass comes away to Ticehurst. Ticehurst racing away. This is another Manly try. Ticehurst comes round and scores the try. Brilliant champagne rugby league from Manly Warringah. It's 34-12. And we thought Cronulla were brilliant the last 2 weeks. It's not that they're playing badly, it's because this team is playing so brilliantly.
Well, the football is staggering. Look at Cleal, he's loving this out in the back. He holds it, keeps a couple at bay while he gets the pass away. Lyons uses the fence, and then Ticehurst had the line at his mercy. Hasler telling him to come around and pick up the 2 points as well with the conversion. But really, this is just staggering football from Manly. They're getting the ball wide, the passing is crisp, it's finding the man. They just have the pace. Look at Cleal, he has Miller come at him there. He holds on to 2 tacklers as he flips the ball back on the inside. They always know there is going to be someone on the inside and the outside. And there goes Ticehurst with plenty of pace to finish off these moves. Ticehurst finally into the action after Austin's been getting all these plaudits. One more look at Cliffy Lyons flipping the pass away to Ticehurst. They just haven't made a mistake. It's easy to sit back and watch this perfect football, but they are doing it with precision.
His first try of the year, Jeremy Ticehurst, back in first grade. He had a couple of games last year. Of course, Jeremy Ticehurst was only graded with the club last year, came right up through the ranks. He's had a pretty successful 2 seasons with the Sea Eagles. And hasn't this man had a successful 2 seasons with them? Trying to make it 6 out of 6, looking for his 20th point of the afternoon, and he steered it straight over the black dot. Manly lead Cronulla Sutherland by 36 points to 12. And who would have believed after 50 minutes of football we would have already seen 8 tries?
Yes, well, I'm sure everyone watching this game is enjoying the entertainment. It's not a contest at the moment, unfortunately, for Sharks fans. And really, you wonder what can they do, because it's almost as if Manly have got 20 players and Cronulla have only got 10.
Alan Wilson restarting the play, and there is an error, and the ball's going to go dead, so play will restart with a line dropout. A bit of bad luck that, trying to trap the ball with the foot, which is probably the logical thing to do, but perhaps needed Peter Wilkins' soccer skills down there to just add a little bit of assistance. He might have been a bit tired, Jeremy Ticehurst, as well, after that long run. The incredible thing about the try that he scored is that when Cleal slipped the pass to Lyons, Ticehurst he tripped over another player in the back play. He was actually on the ground and yet managed to get up to score the try. Docking.
That was a good long drop kick too, crossed the halfway line. Docking had to go back for it.
I think some of these Cronulla players will be hoping that the bell can go shortly.
Well, while we give praise to Manly, you must criticise the Cronulla defence. It really is the brilliance of the attack, certainly, but Cronulla have missed a lot of tackles, though they're being run ragged. But the backs simply aren't getting into position quickly enough. There's not enough desperation in the defence, and they're not recovering at all when Manly make the first break.
Cronulla, 30 metres out. Here's Porter. Someone said before the game, remember that Manly lost 3 on the trot at one stage last year, and there's a bad mistake from Eddinghausen. Scrum to go down just outside the quarter line.
Again, it's a mistake that usually wouldn't be made, but when you're under this much pressure, those little errors creep in. Eddinghausen just a little bit too keen, really, to get away from the dummy half position, left the ball behind.
Almost wasn't a knock on. He dropped it onto his foot and it went backwards, but still, it was a mistake. And what I was about to say was, last year, you remember when Manly lost 3 in a row, got roundly criticised, then they won 13 straight. I wonder whether we're going to see the same thing and make them and see them charge up that competition table during this second and third round of the competition. Lions.
Manly fans will be interested to know that Joe Rapati, the New Zealand international, came into the reserve grade side today for the Sea Eagles and played pretty well.
A huge game in that first half.
And they've still got Dale Shearer to come back.
And Darryl Williams.
And Mel Cochrane.
Is there any more on that list? The referee says across the chest as Morton gets up to play it on the quarter line. Again, Lyons out amongst those backs. He's created havoc today, Cliff Lyons. He's had a lot of support inside, but my word, he's taken the right option so often. He's created a lot of these try-scoring movements. That's going to be a penalty for a Shepherd. Just to give someone a bit of praise.
Well, he was probably a little unlucky because the defence hadn't really got to him, but he did run behind players. He threw a little dummy there and then went himself, and someone came through on the angle, and it's a little bit hard to see, but
Coleman. Wilson's a dummy half. Sorensen. Porter. Wilson in a dummy half again. Blindside they go. Russell, quickly it comes away. Miller, the dummy, back it goes to Russell. The gap hadn't opened up. Docking gets away from Cleal but can't get away from the next line. That ball's gone loose, but they've still got a chance through Russell. Last tackle against the Sharks. Wilson's in a dummy half. Harry Russell's not 100%. And again, that kick straight across the open face, and Lyons plucks it out of the air, but he can get it wide. Austin's got a lot of room in front of him. He comes back on the inside. That time, though, Cronulla were awake as soon as Lyons got it, and they quickly moved across in cover to prevent Austin making ground. He's lost that, Lyons. Speechley's got it for the Sharks.
It's hard to be critical of Austin because he's played so well, but twice in the last couple of moments, following kicks across field, he's cut back inside. I think he's got the pace to stay on the outside and go down the touchline.
Porter, good run. Still going, Michael Porter. Miller. There's Eddinghausen. Here's Diamond making good ground for the Sharks. Diamond, determined run. Good run from Craig Diamond. Only about 8 or 9 metres out from that Manly line. It's Hatch in a dummy half. They go to the open side. It comes away Speechley. Quickly it goes now from Porter. Porter can't get his pass away. Good defence there from Manly. Last tackle against the Sharks is again, they try that kick across field and Hasler plucks that out of the air. That was brilliant stuff from Hasler.
I think I'd give up on that kick because they're up against a superhuman team. These fellas from the Sea Eagles have got the reflexes that they just keep pulling them in. Other teams have been baffled by this hard driving kick across the goal mouth in the last couple of weeks, and tries have been scored by Cronulla in the last 2 weeks with that tactic. Today, Lyons, Hasler, all of them, Burke, a lot of them just seem to be able to pluck that ball straight out of thin air.
I think Bobby Simpson would like to get Hasler after that effort. Imagine him at first slip. There's a beautiful ball from Lyons to Cleal. This is danger time again. Cleal racing down to the quarter line. Cleal shows the ball and goes on his own. He had support in Dwyer and Hasler. He gets up, plays it. They come the open side as it comes away. Lyons across the quarter line. He's got O'Connor in support. O'Connor, he's got it away. Austin off the ground. Austin, though, is going to be hauled back, though. A forward pass, says the referee, from O'Connor away to Austin. But again, what a beautiful pass it was from Lyons that put pressure in. 13 tackles. Daly got through. And you'll notice that Barry Russell also off. You notice that Ronnie Quinn it was who got that ball from the scrum base. He was a fresh reserve this afternoon.
If Russell is not injured and has been replaced, well, he certainly must be getting a reward because he's been one of the best Cronulla Sharks out there. Missed tackles, 17 against Manly, almost twice as many against Cronulla.
Notice also earlier, remember when Russell made a break about 2 or 3 minutes ago, he got sandwiched on the far side of the field and got up slowly to play the ball. And maybe Fitzgibbon decided, well, we can't get the 2 points here. I'm not going to see my most attacking weapon injured anymore. Get him off quickly and give him a chance to find out whatever the problem is. Wasn't a good kick either, was it? Not when you're under the pressure there under this afternoon. They'd like to have the ball for a while. Here's Lyons again. Beautiful pass, but it's just gone to the ground. He delayed that beautifully, Lyons. That almost came off again, didn't it?
Well, Lyons put it into Dwyer's breadbasket, and it probably was a matter of reflexes whether he caught it or not. Lyons certainly put it there as he hit it on the burst, and he just couldn't quite hold on. It just left it behind. He would have been straight through and probably would have gone all the way.
We saw the speed of the man earlier, and there's Matt Burke limping back into position.
Well, it looked like a hamstring there, David, for Matt Burke. That'll be a tragedy, but we'll just wait and see how he walks off.
Penalty here. Cleal's getting 5 on the sin bin for that tackle.
Well, let's see what Noel Cleal did as this scrum breaks up. He gets hold of up end, the spear tackle. Spear tackle is what the referee's got it for.
Well, that's fair enough. I think Cross will be the first one to say, well, yeah.
Probably half the momentum was there from the other man making the tackle, but he's helped him on his way, and it's a dangerous practice, should be stamped out. There's Matt Burke down injured, receiving attention. Doesn't look too good.
Well, as Dr. Yeo will tell you at the Royal North Shore Hospital, that is the tackle that can cause most of the spinal damage. So obviously it's a tackle we don't wish to see. And Matt Burke is coming off. And now another Cronulla mistake. That was Quinn who knocked that on. Scrum to go down almost on the quarter line. Staines is on also, I notice, out there for Cronulla. As Burke comes off. And listen to the applause as Burke comes off, but listen to it when they see the replacement come on. Joe Rapati, he had a blinder in reserve grade. And I reckon that most of this crowd who saw him play in reserve grade will give him a huge reception and welcome him here to Brookvale Oval. When you do get a close-up of Joe Rapati, he's just about to get the ball now. Look at the power of the legs of the man. Look how big he is in the thighs.
That was a fine tackle from Diamond to pull him down.
Hasler's pass out wide. That's Gately standing out there amongst the backs. He's got Ticehurst in support. but that's good defence. Eddinghausen and Coleman, and they almost running, in fact they do run him across the touchline. That was good tackling from Eddinghausen and Coleman.
Well, any other time in this game, the Manly backs would have been in position out wide there, but probably just losing Burke, injured, and O'Connor had Rapati on this side of the field. All of a sudden, they didn't have men out there. Instead, it was forwards.
Alan Wilson's the player who's off for Cronulla and replaced by Dan Staines, as Docking has it. And there's Rapati showing how strong he can be in defence as well. McGaw. Docking. There's Miller, holds that pass up, that's Diamond. He's obviously dropped the ball.
Well, Cronulla just can't seem to do anything right. They're making basic mistakes, dropping the ball. They've been outclassed here today. The battle of the forwards has not happened, usually for a team to go as well in the backs. There's the score, Manly 36, Cronulla 12. Usually for a team to go as well in the backs, the forwards have to gain some sort of dominance, but that battle didn't really even happen here today because Cronulla started off the game territorially on top, but then Manly just cut loose from their own side of halfway, put tries on from their own side of halfway, and that's been the story.
Definitely a hamstring for Matt Burke, and that'll be a shame if forced him out of the rep matches coming up this week.
Of course, those medicals on Monday morning. Interesting to see how many players actually can't get through the medicals, if any. And obviously there's a query now about Burke. There's still a query hanging over John Doherty. As far as the country place of origin side is concerned. Hasler. Out it comes to Lyons. Quickly, it's gone across to O'Connor. O'Connor up to the halfway. Ticehurst back on the inside over the top. Lyons. Lyons down to the quarter line. He's got Hasler in support. He puts the kick in. They're coming through quickly. Rapati and Hasler. Hasler's there first. Hasler scores the try. It's another try to Manly. I'm certain Desi Hasler scored it. Joe Rapati, I think he thought he was going to get there first, but Hasler showing all the speed. And have a look at this again. It's 40 points to 12. But look at the class of O'Connor here.
Well, I think the crowd were cheering for Joe Rapati to score the try. There it goes from O'Connor, turning it back inside. Good wing play by Ticehurst to be in the right position. And then Lyons now, he had support. He looked as if he was going to pass. Decided that he'll kick. I don't know, really may well have passed it. But then Hasler and Rapati have a race here. And both of them dive virtually for it. And, well, I think Hasler got his hand on it first. In fact, touch and go, whether it was grounded cleanly. But look at O'Connor, the class of the man, sizing up the situation, turns it back inside to the winger to catch the defence on the wrong foot. And then actually was Hasler looked to be calling the kick ahead. Lyons could well have passed it, gets the kick away, and then it was a race. No Cronulla player within sight. The two of them have it between. Let's see if they get it down cleanly. Well, presumably it was grounded. The referee certainly had a look to his touch judge, who was in a good position.
Well, between the two of them, they almost made a meal of it.
Des Hasler, his 7th try of the year. Certainly he's going to claim it, and I'm certain Joe Rapati will say, well, can I have half, since it was the first time I've played on a first-rate field here for Manly. O'Connor, his hardest kick of the afternoon, and it looks pretty good. It looks good, it's there! Oh, what a great afternoon Michael O'Connor's had as well. 2 tries, and now 7 goals from 7 attempts. That's 22 points for O'Connor from memory.
Noel Cleal back on the field after 5 minutes in the bin.
Both sides have only dropped the ball 8 times, but it's the fact that Cronulla have...
There's Joe Rapati.
Cronulla have missed 34 tackles as opposed to Manly 17. But it's the fact that Manly have just created so many things this afternoon that has been the difference. There's been a lot of holes. It hasn't been so much missed tackles. It's been the fact that there's nobody there to affect the tackle.
Well, the fact that Manly get the ball to where the holes are. They're such a skillful side.
Penalty against Cronulla. Well, I know that all of those young kids that came down from the northwestern part of the state have really had a great time this afternoon watching Noel Cleal play. He's back on the paddock there, as you'll notice, after his stint in the sin bin. There they are up on the hill. All those kids. Morialda, Moree, Weewar, Bogabilla, and also Narrabri. remember Warrialda as a kid, mate. They were unbeatable in Group 5 when I lived up there. Not in Warrialda, but in the area. And you can see that big boar's head too. It signifies one of those horrible pigs that he likes chasing. Manly bringing it back to the halfway line. And there's Cleal himself out wide. His brother doesn't mind chasing them either, but I believe that Les probably isn't quite fit enough to chase him at the moment. He's enjoying himself a bit in Scone. Jeremy Ticehurst with the ball. Lions. Huge kick. Docking underneath it. What an incredible competition. That's not a bad tackle either. It wasn't high, just good ball and all tackle. That. Coleman with the ball back. And this defence again's been relentless. Vaughton again, very much involved. He and Ian Gately, the top tacklers for the Manly side this afternoon. How'd you like to be an Australian selector trying to choose the back row?
There's a lot of talent around, isn't there?
Beautiful ball from Miller. Away it went towards the McGaw. McGaw's got Speechley looming up and out wide. He's got Watson, but he got tackled from behind. Over the top that time was Vaughton, and it was Tim Dwyer who's had a good game at fullback underneath the ball. Comes back towards, in the end, it's Porter with it. Last tackle against the Sharks. Quinn. Miller. That's Hatch. Hatch on his own. Sorensen. Go Harpo. In his 200th match for Cronulla, he scores a try. I bet you he's never scored an easier one, but he deserves it because he's been a great servant for the Cronulla side.
Well, he's got one last week as well, didn't he? So 2 tries in 2 weeks for Dane Sorensen. But I'm sure the Manly defence couldn't believe that Cronulla didn't throw the ball wide, and they finally opened up right in front of the sticks. Cronulla were plugging away in here. They had overlaps out wide, and even Sorensen knew that he should try and get the ball out wide, and suddenly looked in front and realised all the defence had run away. Cronulla plugging away, at least a just dessert, I suppose, for finally keeping the pressure on Manly for 6 tackles here. They kept the ball alive, pushing it back to Sorensen, and suddenly just opened up in the middle. Batty Vaughton couldn't believe it either. He thought that they were going to throw it wide. He was about to head off in cover defence.
Well, Dane Sorensen, his 200th game for the club. I don't think anyone will score a try easier than that, but I'm certain he's going to say, I took it a long way out and I ran 80 metres to score it. His 2nd try of the year, as Watson takes over the goal-kicking duties and puts it straight over the black dot. 42 points to 18 the score.
Consolation minutes remaining. Manly might like to score a few more tries, but I'm sure Cronulla would be quite happy to get off the field.
Here's Diamond bringing it out now for Cronulla. 11 metres out as he lost the ball. The referee says no, get up and play it. Gately, Lyons, broken shear, back on the inside. Here's Cleal again, looking dangerous, slips the pass. Hasler, long wide ball, that's O'Connor. O'Connor's got that away. Here's trouble, Dwyer for the line. He can't get his pass away, it's gone loose. I think he went into touch anyway.
Well, O'Connor created something out of nothing. Cronulla had plenty of defence there. They had them man on man, and the ball was, O'Connor was just getting that pass away to Dwyer. But O'Connor, with a little step, pulled in the defence to create the opening for Dwyer.
Listen to the applause as this man leaves the field. He's had a blinder this afternoon. He's one of a few, but my word, he's had a huge game. Cliff Lyons leaving the field. As Cronulla run it out from their own line, but he really deserves some accolades today, Cliffy Lyons. And here's Mark McGaw on. And you'll notice the little blonde-haired fellow in the screen there. There he is again, Jeff Tuvey. I don't know whether he's actually come on as a replacement in first grade before. I know I haven't seen him as yet, but having watched him a few times in reserve grade, having heard what some of the Manly players have got to say about him, he's a name you put down in your little black book because you're going to hear a lot about him in future years. Jeff Tuvey has heaps of ability. Manly. There he is.
Manly have had some great blonde-headed halfbacks over the years. Steve Martin, Johnny Gibbs.
But he only looks about 12. Have a look at him. He doesn't look very old, does he?
Shake hands with Alan Langer.
Now let's see what he does here. He's got away from, Docking's got away from the youngster there as he comes up to the quarter line, puts it through. The race is on between Eddinghausen and Hasler, and Eddinghausen's plucked that out of the air and scored. Eddinghausen try number 3 for the afternoon as Docking came to the quarter line.
Well, that's what I was saying about Cronulla. They're continuing to try things. Docking making a great burst and a good sidestep to get away there. And Eddinghausen looms up. Docking knows it, puts the kick ahead, knowing Eddinghausen's speed, and he beats Hasler to the ball and pulls in a beautiful overhead take as well to get that ball down. One thing to take the ball on the run, but when it comes down virtually over your shoulder, Docking showing a good elusive running, beautiful sidestep. He looks for support. Then that's where he picked up that Eddinghausen was coming. Gets the kick away as he comes to the fullback. Eddinghausen doesn't take his eyes off the ball. Nothing Hasler can do except desperately make the tackle. Eddinghausen scores his 3rd try of the game.
And his 11th try of the season. We've seen a fair few of them in recent weeks. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it, that you could score 3 tries in a match and you'd be on the losing side. And losing side by quite a deal, I might add. Well, this is going to make the score more respectable as Watson puts it over the black dot, and it's now 42 points to 30. 72 points scored in the match. If you had a look at the score tomorrow, you'd swear there's been no tackling, but I don't think that'd be fair to a lot of the players out there who have tackled themselves to a standstill.
Well, that try of the Sharks just then was the sort of football they've played over the last couple of weeks. The only problem is that they were down by about 20 points at half-time, thanks to the Manly brilliance.
Referee calling timeout as the looking for a football.
At the beginning of the season, Eddinghausen set himself to score a try a match. It must be pretty close.
Well, only into round 10, so he's in front of that at the moment. Maybe that means he won't score any on Wednesday night. That'll be good, especially for all those country fans who are listening or watching.
You can take the boy out of the bush, but you can't.
So one day of the year, 1975 still rings well in my memory, as it does no doubt in Arthur Beetson and Mick Cronin's. We'll never forget Mick Cronin pinching the ball off Beetson to score the try for country.
Well, I'll be there barracking for the City Slickers.
Trouble is, I think I'll be one of about 50 somewhere. That's the trouble with the match being on Wednesday night and not on a Saturday afternoon. Cronulla with the ball just outside the quarter line. Gavin Miller, he's done pretty well to try and get that ball backwards. Patch. Almost intercepted. Scrum will go down. Just outside that quarter line.
Really has been a comprehensive performance from Manly, grand final style football. They've lost a little bit in the forwards this year. Kevin Ward, Ron Gibbs, at the moment Mel Cochran out of action, but they haven't lost anything in the backs.
Here goes Manly again. They've got the overlap as O'Connor comes back on the inside. Hasler puts it over the top and came off a Cronulla hand. The referee said, "You're in an offside position, Michael Speechley." And the penalty goes Manly's way.
And I should just qualify that as well. Here goes Hasler. And the ball was knocked down by a Manly hand. A Cronulla hand, I should say.
I think O'Connor's going to have the shot at goal. I dare say he's turned around and said, "Come on, how about we have some?" What would you reckon? Paul Vaughton said, "Come on, I've done 29 tackles. I've run as far as I want to run this afternoon. Have the shot at goal, and we can all get in and have a nice hot shower and be thankful that the game's over and the 2 Winfield Cup points are safely in the bag." But I think Bob Fulton might have a few words to say about the slackening off the defence. For and against, very important still. When you finish second to finish second and third, the difference between third and fourth can be very vital. O'Connor to make it 8 out of 8. There's the kick, and he's got it. So Michael O'Connor, a personal tally of 24 points this afternoon. Manly leading by 40.